Dear Daily News Report viewers, after watching this video, you can reach the video we shared previously by clicking on the top right button. The main topic of the previous video was about economic collapse. We recommend watching, subscribing, and sharing. Thanks in advance. Depending on how Americans deal with coronavirus lockdowns, it's hard to be optimistic about what happens when a truly serious crisis strikes the United States. Yes, this epidemic is an absolutely wonderful tragedy. There are more than 1.1 million confirmed cases in the United States and more than 66,000 of Americans have died. But this is not the end of the world. Sorry to say that, but COVID-19 is not the worst thing we will encounter. In fact, it's the worst thing we will face, so it's a bit discouraging to see so many Americans responding so badly to this epidemic. Investigation companies have been extremely active lately, and although about 40% of all United States adults are obese, a survey discovered that Americans were eating snacks like never before during these lockdowns. About 40% of people say that they have been eating more snacks since the outbreak began, and 26% admit that they've found comfort in chocolate, especially according to the Harris survey of 2013 American adults held over the weekend. If all we had to worry about was overeating, I could live with it. However, it turns out that Americans also fell into a series of other self-destructive behaviors during this time. In our history, at a time when alcohol-related deaths are already at all-time high in the United States, heavy drinkers have decided that this epidemic is an excellent opportunity to drink more. 1 in 5 people said they consumed more alcohol, but this number was 18 to 35, or 1,000 years and 30% higher between Gen Zers. Sales growth has been particularly striking in areas that have been extremely challenged by COVID-19. A drink shop owner in New York says it is like a new year every year during the city's crash. With the first rise of panic buying, wine and cannabis sales are still increasing, providing an opportunity and a challenge for businesses that strive to meet demand behaviors and changes in consumer behavior. It looks like a new year every year, said Mark Schwartz, owner of Little More Wine and Spirits in Brooklyn's Crown Heights neighborhood, which sees alcohol sales 4 times higher. Of course, they need something to do while eating and drinking, and the average American streams about 8 hours of shows and movies every day. In a recent poll, the average American is running in the middle of new coronavirus pandemic, broadcasting about 8 hours of shows and movies every day. One poll researched 2,000 Americans with access to at least one streaming service and found that the average person not only watched 8 hours of content, but also passed 3 series in just 1 week. This helps explain why Netflix stock has definitely been on the rise lately. Personally, I have never watched Tiger King, and I definitely no desire to do so. In fact, I haven't had a Netflix subscription for over a decade. Few companies have embraced pure evil to the extent that Netflix has, but most Americans seems to be unconcerned, and the moment Netflix is definitely making money. In addition to watching television, Americans gamble much more online. online poker revenues increased more than 100% compared to February, and iGaming revenues set a new record of $64.8 million on Wednesday for figures from New Jersey, one of the two states that allow online gambling. For me, this does not make sense. In my opinion, this has never been. A recent study found that nearly half of all Americans will spend all their savings by the end of April. If you do not have enough money to pay your bills next month, why would you want to gamble the little money you have? Unfortunately, our society does not appear to be equipped to deal with difficult times. Even before this epidemic started, the rate of suicide in the United States was at an all-time high and overdosing more American drugs than ever before. But everything I've shared with you so far is now decreasing compared to what I'm going to share with you. Since this outbreak sent a wave of fear across the country, it also caused an explosion in abortion clinics all over America. The Trust Women Abortion Clinic in Wichita, Kansas reported that it performed 252 abortions in March 2019. Trust Women General Manager Julie Burkhardt told RT.com this week about the Wichita, Kansas clinic and other clinics in Oklahoma City recently closed but reopened since then. A 300 to 400% increase in patient loads they saw. Calling women are not sure of having a baby when the world suddenly becomes so unpredictable and worried about money because of the sharp rise in unemployment, he said. We see more women than ever looking for during their pregnancy, and there is an urgent nature to it. Just like individuals, great challenges tend to reveal who we really are as a nation. And at the moment, the message we send to the rest of the world with our behavior is not good. Past generation Americans have been called to war, but have called on us to stay home for few weeks, and we can't even handle this very well. Surprisingly, mainstream media somehow convinced the majority of American people that the lockdowns should continue. Just check out what an NBC News Wall Street Journal survey found. According to a new national NBC News poll, about 60% of American voters say they are more concerned that the relaxation of their home restrictions will lead to COVID-19 deaths. Street Journal survey, but while the strong majority of Democrats and independents are more concerned about the coronavirus than the economy, Republicans are divided into the problem. Almost half worry about how constraints can affect the economy. The longer these lockdowns continue, the more likely self-destructive Americans will be. But they will eventually end, and most people will try to continue their normal lives. Of course, it's only a matter of time before a bigger crisis than the outbreak of this outbreak, and if we fail so badly this time, how will people around the world deal with something worse? Most of the idea, comment, information, and criticism containing in these videos have been created by Daily News Report. Before making any important investment decision, use the information contained in these videos as a starting point for conducting your own research. If you make any investment or legal decision, it is advised to consult an expert before making this decision.